And we're live! Welcome to the Crafty Boys, where a bunch of dudes drink beer and think all kinds of awesomeness about themselves, because we are. I'm sorry, we are awesome. That's just all there is to it. And hello. I would like to greet everyone in Finland for tuning in tonight. I thank you for sending us those fine notes of $7 trillion. So we are going to, of course, that's only about $20 in Canadian. So, you know, how's it going, boys?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Really good. I'm looking forward to this because this is our new night. Like we used to do Wednesdays.
That's right.
We've done Wednesdays since 1942, and
we should probably acknowledge
Friday.
That. Yes,
we're doing Fridays now.
We have moved to Friday nights at 7 p.m.
Because we can.
Yeah.
Because we can.
This guy right here.
It's not. No.
This other guy. That guy.
It's because we can.
That is true. Because we've been doing Wednesday nights for years, but let's do Friday nights because why the hell not? And also, well, actually, Fridays are the day you're supposed to drink beer. Yeah. That's all there is to it. We finally realized that because beforehand we were drinking every day. So, I mean, there is that as well. Yeah. I don't know what the hell. Locke, we're going to start with you because you've been really busy and haven't been on the show too often of late. What second beer are you drinking tonight?
No, this is the second of the main beer. What I have...
What a tease.
Yeah. Detour. This is unusually for me a session IPA.
Okay.
Session IPA seems like a contradiction in terms. The whole point of the IPA as a style was that it was supposed to preserve the beer, so it was supposed to be higher in alcohol content and hoppier. But this is lower in alcohol content because the idea is it's questionable. What does that actually mean? Well, now, interestingly, in England, this would be a strong beer. This is 4.3%. So if this was on tap in a pub in England, this would be on the stronger end of the menu. You'd have your 5 and your 6, but this is, those would be like specialty products. This would be for standard English beer strong. So in that respect, okay, this still sort of ticks that box. Is it any good? Well, one of the things I would add to all of this is of Muskoka Brewing products, this is sort of one of their 2 biggest sellers. Now, I have previously on the show had their craft lager, which I think is excellent. It is as a crisp, craft lager. Sort of a high bar to meet. This, on the other hand, I think I need to get a glass so we can check out whether or not it's hazy.
Okay, so while Locke is gone getting a glass, Shane's going to do a musical number. Shane.
Whether you've been left home alone with a hidden stash of juice, or you're at the special gathering of the year and you're best to be discreet, hold on tight to the personal stash before someone catches. Hang on, I gotta finish the I was singing this text off of our beer.
Nice one.
That's not well. It kind of looks hazy, but not a whole lot.
Cloudy, kind of like a wit beer, but it's not hazy, is it?
Right.
No,
that is not hazy to me. Yeah.
What I will tell you is this. For a sort of 2 pillars of modern beer, being a good crisp drink drinking craft lager and a good crisp drinking sessionable IPA. Yes, I'm going to allow that it's an IPA. It's not just a pale ale. Well, actually, what does it call itself? Does it call itself a pale ale? Does it call itself a pale ale or an IPA? You two are in. Doesn't really. Nowhere on here is it obvious from the tin that they're making a claim one way or another. I think I've seen when it's on people's signs, they usually describe it as an IPA.
Okay.
A session IPA. Is it a contradiction in terms? Are we talking about black light here? I don't know, but whatever it is, in terms of modern tastes, this is very good.
Cool. I mean, I like what you're describing there because I want to have it.
It's a little bit of a balance between a piney and a citrusy hop flavor.
Okay.
It's bitter, but not punchily so. It's sort of like having. It's not like having grapefruit juice. It's like having a twist of grapefruit in your drink, kind of thing. You know. I'm really liking. Shane's camera is looking very. That's way radical.
I was wondering if he's coming closer.
That.
What, like, is he falling asleep and he's just kind of like?
I'm just colliding with my keyboard. So, sorry. What I missed? I missed this part. What brewery is this from?
I think it's Muskoka.
So this is Muskoka Brewery. Now, I am in the Muskoka region, and so I've been talking about Muskoka region breweries for the last 6 months that I've been here.
Yeah. Probably
before that. But in the last 6 months that I've been here, certainly I've been talking about Muskoka breweries a lot. And this is the one called Muskoka Brewery. It is for the region, probably one of the most sort of production forward outfits. So it's a little bit like, if you remember back in the old Victoria days, it's a little bit more like,
you gonna say Vancouver Island Brewing?
Yeah, sort of Vancouver Island Brewing kind of a scale, right? Like they do have a tap room. They don't serve food.
Same owner.
You know what I mean? Is it?
Well, partially. So there's a guy. They're like ownership groups, right? So one guy who's on the ownership group of Vancouver Island Brewing is also on the ownership group from Muskoka.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense because that seems to be about the sort of the style of operation that they're doing. And as I said, not the wild and crazy side of what's experimental and possible in the frame of craft beer, but rather something that is, a sort of a limited product in that it's not trying to be Molson or Coors,
Right.
It's making great beer and I'm enjoying it a lot. Why don't you guys tell me about what you're drinking?
All right, Shane, take it away.
All right. Neat words. Basically, Alan and I are drinking the same thing tonight. It's from Backcountry Brewing out of Squamish, and it's called Unlimited Juice. It is a cryo IPA. The party is going to be off the hook.
Yeah.
So basically, it is a very I've already opened it, and oh my lord, this has hops galore. This is hardcore. This is definitely.
Is that hop emulsification?
It might be.
Oh wow, I think so.
It might be.
Mm.
This is it pours like an orange juice. Not much of a head to speak of. There is some strong lacing on the sides of the glass that are kind of like sticking there. But otherwise, it does look like a glass of orange juice. And it kind of tastes like that too. It's reminiscent of fresh squeezed from Deschutes.
Right. Oh, that's really good.
It is really good. It kind of tastes like something that would be made by Superflux.
Really?
I think so.
That's like straight out of the gate, just looking at the product, looking at what's in those glasses, I'm thinking the only time I've seen anything quite that's not hazy, that's opaque. That is
Yeah.
That is not the result of Lapulin powder, right?
No.
No,
No,
it
I'm
is.
expecting to
It
find
is a
pieces of
solid
gold
one.
in this. It doesn't just taste like orange juice, right? I mean, it has that sort of like citrusy kind of like punch to it, but it does taste like an IPA. Something a little bit more. I mean, you've got your Fat Tug, which is sort of like a run of the mill kind of thing. This is like fresh squeezed, maybe on steroids a little bit. It comes in at 6.7%. Interestingly, the IBU is only 28. I would have expected it to be higher than that. But yeah, that's interesting.
So it's hoppy, not necessarily bitter.
No.
Yeah.
Would that be right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is starting to sound eerily similar to. We talked previously about what was it called? Oh, Reinhardt's. Was it Color and Shape or something like that? Anyway,
That's Superflux.
Yeah.
Very. Color and Shape Superflex. Yeah, I'm trying to whatever the Reinhardt one was. Yeah, there's a Toronto group that are approaching that style, and I've seen some interesting results out of them. Which is one that sort of doesn't really taste like anything familiar, but it's got that really resiny.
My only question is Backcountry opening themselves up.
Resiny?
Sorry, what?
The drink, the beer that you're drinking.
Yeah.
Would you describe it as resiny? Because it's resiny.
Oh
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The question I have is Backcountry opening themselves up to a possible court challenge by advertising it as unlimited juice when it is decidedly not unlimited. That was a joke.
Yeah. It's a subtle matter, sad to say. It's called mere puffery.
Because oh shit, it is definitely not unlimited. As I just rolled up a little bit onto the table
here. But it sounds like you quite like it. Am I correct in assessing?
It's fantastic. But I mean, as with all backcountry, with a lot of backcountry stuff, it's a limited release kind of thing. So if you want to get it, get it now.
So what kind of operation are they? Are they gypsy brewers?
Out of Squamish? I don't think so.
Okay.
They put out a lot of stuff.
Okay. So tell me, give me a sort of a round picture of like who are these guys?
I don't know all that much about them, to be honest.
Well, that's okay because we'll find out right now because that's who we are. We are the information age here. Well,
Shane's gonna
that's I'm gonna bring it up here. Here we go. So here you are, boys. This is the Backcountry Brewing Squamish location. It is a place where you can go, and everybody there will know your name, as well as they'll give you massages. So, basically, these are their main sort of things they make. And my name is Ingo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Simcoe West Coast IPA.
Nice one.
I'll take you to the candy shop, Fuzzy Peach Sour, which I almost got. Tidal waves. All I need is some tasty waves and a cool buzz, and I'm fine. They do a lot of nerdy things, which is why I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it further. Pale ale. There's a lot of different beers that they make, and they're seasonal. They're constantly changing. And like the one here, I mean, this one is unlimited juice, and I think this is a reference to. Actually, you know what? I don't know what this is a reference to. This one, there's another one that I got that is definitely don't let the muggles get me down.
Well, hold on. That sounds like a trivia question. Go back to the one you don't know the reference.
unlimited juice.
Maybe I know
the
the
one we're
reference.
drinking, the
I need to find
unlimited juice.
This
Unlimited
part is
juice.
going to be off the hook.
Yeah,
I don't know
this
what
is
that
a reference to something. I don't.
Okay,
Actually,
yeah,
wait
do
a
a
second.
Google
Hang on.
search on it, Shane.
I'm just looking to see if there is anything in here that might be. No, that's not it. So
Excuse me.
I am going to look it up. I want to know off the hook.
If he really loves me. Sorry.
Why do I think is it a reference to excuse me. Here we go. Backcountry Brewing. Yeah, here we are. So why do I think it's actually a reference to something like what was that Tom Cruise film where he was like had the sunglasses and stuff?
Risky Business?
Risky something. I think
Risky
that might
Business?
be. I could be wrong, but I understand something about this. So, El Dorado Cryo Haze. Now, this is actually what I wanted to look up because I had a Cryo IPA the other day, but I
Okay.
don't actually know what it is. Now, according to what I've read, which I'm just getting to my bookmark here, the award-winning Cryo is a beer that is like a hop, I think. Yeah, here we go. Cryo hop sucks up less of the precious beer and doesn't give you the astringency that you can get from tradition, cone, or pellet hop. So cryo hops are like a different, like they've packed them differently. They've got them doing something different on the surface. So
I looked it up. It's a reference from an episode of Arrested Development.
is it really? That I would never have gotten. I like Arrested Development, but I haven't watched it in some time. So, but anyway, so cryo hops apparently will give you the flavor that we are experiencing, which is what I experienced the other night at the other at Brew Hall over here in Vancouver, just down the street from me. So, Locke, if you undo your pants, I'm cutting you off. You're all relaxed and laid back.
Right? Yeah. Been a long week. Sorry.
No, relax, man. I just thought it was kind of funny. Like it's like I'm so relaxed. Which reminds me, Locke. I was talking to the nice people at the beer store the other day or yesterday, and discovered that apparently Trooper is not being imported into Canada as often as it is. Or has been. So if you find some Trooper, get it because it might be gone. The embargo has happened.
Ooh.
The EU has kicked out the UK people, and that has now affected importing of UK brewing. So yeah, there you go. Don't you look horrified? I'm sorry.
That's not going to work. Nobody in Ontario is having that. Not going to.
But yeah, I could not find it anywhere. BC Liquor doesn't have it, and the guy that I was talking to at Legacy
Speaking of-
Liquor said they had not had it for some time because it was becoming difficult to find.
Well, Cascadia here has a bunch of it.
Well, then you're gonna have to buy a whole bunch, and I'll come get some.
Great Canadian Beer Fest is happening this year.
It
Ooh.
is.
It is happening on Friday. Let me bring up the calendar here. I want to look at September. Friday, September 8th, Saturday, September 9th at Royal Athletic Park in Victoria. They are doing something a little bit different this year. In years past, you buy your ticket, and your ticket didn't include tokens. And so you line up to get into the place, and then once you're in, you have to line up again to buy tokens. Although that lineup always went by really fast. They always had lots of people working the token booth. But this year, you get 10 tokens with your ticket. The ticket's going to cost a little bit more. I think it's going to be about $10 more than it was last year. But when you consider 10 tokens would normally be $20, you're actually saving $10.
Now there used to be, didn't they used to sell tokens? You got like 20 tokens with your ticket before?
No, you always had to buy your tokens separately once you got in.
Really? Why do I think we got tokens with our tickets last?
I have absolutely no idea why you think that. Then they're also doing something a little bit different. They're taking the Great Canadian.
I can think of a good reason why someone might think that. Can you imagine paying to get into Beer Fest?
True.
But not drinking any beer? It seems implausible. So I think when you buy your ticket, you tend to think, yes, and I will buy a lot of tokens. Right? Isn't that sort of how it goes?
Yeah. And then
do they not offer tokens?
Yeah, you buy your tokens once you're inside typically. But this year they're including 10 tokens with your admission, and then you can buy more tokens once you're inside if you choose.
Right. So with the price of admission, you're at least going to have 10 tokens.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then something else that they're doing that's different is they're taking the Great Canadian Beer Fest on the road. They are going to be running the Great Canadian Beer Fest in Cranbrook as well on Saturday, September 23rd.
Cranbrook.
I thought that was interesting.
I love it. Yes.
So it could become a thing where GCBF goes and tours BC, maybe even the whole country.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
I was in Cranbrook last summer. I remember how terrible it was.
We like to welcome our new sponsor, the city of Cranbrook.
Well, the thing is that I drove through there at like 11 o'clock at night.
Cranbrook, to be fair, has its problems, but they have an airport, which makes them,
that is true.
Much bigger urban center than, for example, Radium, which is admittedly prettier.
Well, I drove through Cranbrook last year, and I was I was hoping to get to Alberta before crashing out, but I had to crash at a hotel in Cranbrook because it was the only hotel that would take dogs, and the Sandman or something. So anyway, it doesn't matter. But the thing is, got there, the people were very friendly. They gave us a huge discount because it was so late at night and whatnot. They were happy to welcome our pugs. But then at 4 a.m, right outside the window, like maybe 50 feet from the building, a train rolled through. The whole thing, it's 11 a.m. Come on, everybody. So that was my impression of Cranbrook was wanting to leave.
It was the same thing when we went to Lake
Mm.
Louise a few years back. We were camping in it was a Canadian government campground, Parks Canada campground, and every morning at like 4 a.m, a freight train came through, like right next to the
Are
campground.
you saying you don't like? How can you not like trains?
I love trains, just not
Nothing
four in
wrong
the
with
morning.
trains.
Trains are fine.
Trains are great.
And these are long trains too. I mean, these aren't like the ENN on Vancouver Island, which would like come and go in like 20 seconds. Like these are like really long trains.
Yeah,
that take-
I like the sound of a train. I find it good to sleep to.
Really?
even with the horn.
I do. Oh yeah. Grew up with it, I guess, but to some degree.
Yeah.
All right.
Nothing wrong with a good training.
It's like a thunderstorm.
Sexual.
It's like a thunderstorm. It's like, but it's like it's sort of there's something sort of I don't know relaxing about the I don't know
The
big. It's like a big sort of rumbling
monster, a monstrosity.
sort of. Well, I don't know about monstrosity. Look, I think it's sort of got a sort of a consistency because it's it's a train. It's not like it's not a car accident. You know what I mean? Like
No, I
it's
totally
not
get it
sudden and
because
abrupt. It's repetitive. It's meditative, I guess.
well, especially since when you really think about it, there's a smell of money as they go by because our goods in this world are still moved on a lot of trains. But
Yeah,
also
that too.
The thing I miss about the rail yard over here across the street from us is that during the construction of the new line out to West not Shaughnessy to Kitsilano for the SkyTrain, the rail yard has agreed that they're not going to have any trains going through there. So every so often at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, you would hear trains crashing together as they were connecting up the cars. And that was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
But of course it's been gone for probably a year now because of the digging of the diggy hole nearby, which is they're ahead of schedule too.
How is the diggy hole?
They broke through.
I mean,
the drilling machines broke through at the City Hall station about a month before they were supposed to. So they're on their way west. So it's supposed to all be done by a year from now. Mostly done anyway.
Well, it sounds like it's going a whole lot better than what's going on in Toronto right now. The Eglinton line that they were going to, magic into existence in a few years has turned into a fucking debacle.
Yeah, well, the lawsuits are starting now, which is kind of silly because, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's kind of silly that now these businesses they're now just suing people. But the problem is the project warned everybody that this would be happening until, because it's all supposed to be done, trains running, everything is finished in 2025, like in March or so of 2025. And they're ahead of schedule. by, a month or two. So it's kind of silly that they're getting sued now. I can understand if they're getting sued in December of 25, but
I think here's the thing. There's always going to be some people that are suing before anything's happened, just in case they might be late on the filing. And there are other people. So they're suing you in advance to make sure that they haven't missed any filing dates, right? Even if it turns out
that's a good point.
Something that they later with. And then there's other, so there are those sort of considerations. But
well, there's actually, I have a question for you. This is a legal question that you cannot give me legal advice on. But I'd like your advice.
Offering legal advice.
No legal advice being offered here on the show.
As a customer of legal services, I could tell you what I've looked for in a.
So this is what I need for your opinion as Locke, who knows something about some of the law stuff. So let's say, for example,
as a customer of legal service.
So as somebody, let's pretend, for example, that there is somebody who has worked for a company for about 9 years. And the company has decided that they are going to close their office and everyone will then move to working from home. Totally fine. However, one of those employees said, I don't want to work from home. I like working in the office because I get to talk to people. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to either work from a coffee shop that allows for that, or I will work from a co-working space somewhere in the city. And the employer has said, no, you're not allowed to. You have to work from home. You deal with financial stuff, and there's no way you could protect that information, and so therefore you have to work from home.
Yeah, I would agree that he may have obsolesced his job by electing for circumstances which breach some of the fundamental conditions that are a requirement of what he is professionally liable for. I mean, sadly, I don't think he can get an accommodation on any of that. As a human rights accommodation, it would be exactly
because their concern.
But I think Section 1's going to defeat it. Go on.
Well, because here's the thing. Because the thing is, he's concerned about his mental health. Because he would be working from home, living from home, and basically for a bulk of his day would not be able to leave because his employer doesn't allow him to do that. Now, the information is not something confidential to the point of, it's not like he's going to show it to anybody, but they are.
It doesn't need to be confidential. It doesn't need to be very confidential for it to be a breach of the terms of employment.
But the terms of employment that he agreed to was working from the office. This is new.
Well, sure. Yeah.
He is not. He doesn't want to work at home. He does not want to work from home. This is the thing.
No, I get that.
Forcing their employees.
But if he's an accountant, for example, he couldn't work from a coffee shop.
No, he's not.
Not an accountant, not a lawyer.
No.
What does he do?
No.
What does he
Sales. He's a sales guy.
Oh, a sale? Ooh. I don't know about sales. That's a question that I don't know the answer.
If he takes money over the phone, that somehow magically that's going to become a problem. So yeah.
If he's taking credit card numbers, it could be, but
yes, but if he's
would
not
he be taking credit card numbers,
not announcing them to the room.
But if you're an employer, would you? Is that undue hardship? That sounds like undue hardship to me.
But again, the
uncertainty. People mutter things. People.
Totally.
Tell. Yeah,
the only reason I really.
I totally. Yeah.
Well, the only reason I bring it up is I think it's actually quite fascinating. It's a reverse of what's happening out there in the workplace.
Here's the thing. I absolutely sympathize with him. I've done the same thing. I didn't want to work from home. That's why I'm here in Bracebridge. Well, in Torrance, commuting to Bracebridge, right? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. If he doesn't want to work from home, my strong advice is go north, my son. You know, like there's a lot of opportunity for people who want to deal with people in person further north. In the urban centers, that's where everybody wants to work from home.
Well, if you wanted to work
It's
from home,
convenient
that's
to work
totally
from
what it would be.
It's not convenient to work from home if you live further north. Further north, everybody wants to go to the office because there's not much to do at home. You know?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is he doesn't really want to work from home, and he's trying to figure out how he can find a middle ground of being able to. His thought was working from a co-working space, which you can get private ones that have your own little office and whatnot. But his employer didn't want to pay for it, and it's like, well, I don't know. So, I mean, ultimately, he said, "Fine, you can fire me, but I'm not quitting, and I'm going to work from wherever I want. Fire me, I dare you. I've been here almost a decade, so pay me out, and I'll leave." Which, by the way, would end the company.
Say again what he does.
Sales.
I'm not sure if I understand what he. Yeah. Okay. So, but what is that? Sales could mean anything. What is sales?
He sells ads.
What type of sales? Business.
Yeah, just people buy advertising, and that's what he does.
No. If he sells ads, then he's in advertising. He's not in sales.
Well, he calls himself.
He might be in sales.
Sure.
But if he's selling in advertising, then he's in advertising.
Sure.
That's like a real estate agent saying, "Oh, I'm in sales." Yeah, sure, you're in sales. You're a real estate agent. You're in real estate. He's in advertising, is what you're telling me. In which case, working from a coffee shop is fine.
Interesting.
I would expect anybody who isn't. Sorry, it's just a fucking industry norm. It's not a question of regulatory authority. It's just what are the industry norms and what are the expectations? If somebody's working in advertising, yeah, they're gonna be fucking working from a coffee shop.
I hadn't thought of it that
But
way.
what I don't understand is why is he telling everybody that he's working from a coffee shop when he can just say I'm working from home and then go to the coffee shop? Because that's what everybody else does.
Hey, honestly, I told him to do that anyway. Because in my sort of thinking, because in my thinking, right, the employers don't have the right to tell their employees where they can work because they close an office. If it's not explicit at the very beginning of your employment that, hey, we only work from the asshole of. Yeah, well, and this is the thing, right? Is that to me, it would be like if I told, okay, I've had employees off and on for years, and I would never, ever tell my employee that they couldn't work from some place that they weren't, because here's the thing. Everything you can work around. If there's a problem or a concern about confidentiality about certain pieces of data, fine. Here's a VPN for you to use. And just make sure that when you're talking to somebody on the phone, you're not revealing information so that, people just nearby could hear it. And even if that happened, I mean, what are they going to do with that information anyway? It's not like there's somebody sitting there going, I'm going to go to the coffee shop today, and I'm going to listen to everyone talking about what kind of credit cards they are transferring. No, that doesn't happen. Fuck off. Whatever. And if it does happen, that's the credit card company's problem. Really. I've had too many times where my credit card has been compromised by the credit card company by sending my credit card to Montreal to some fraudster to use it to buy gas and groceries. So, whatever. Who cares? That's what insurance is for, in my opinion. But yeah, I as an individual would feel like if I closed my office and said everyone could work from home, yay, we're now a virtual company, that is kind of where my responsibility or my influence
this coming
ends.
Up because of Elon Musk? Is this coming up because of Elon Musk's snide remarks about the laptop class?
What did we hear? Did we hear the laptop class?
Well, what did Elon say? All of my factory workers have to go to work. Why do these sort of laptop class think that they don't have to go to the office? Why don't they think they have to go to work?
Stop work from home.
Everybody else
Stop
has to go
this
to work.
BS. Wow, what a douchebag. I don't know. Here's the thing: is that it's really only a certain type of work that is really making all this fuss about working from home, because they sit in front of machines and they can sit in front of machines anywhere. I mean, Elon does have a point that there are types of jobs where you're kind of required to be there. But the reality is a lot of those jobs will eventually disappear too. I mean, like any uh, uh, job that can be replaced with a machine.
Which leads me to the sort of the question I think is on everybody's mind right now. What happens when the Chat GPT of everything basically makes it so that anybody who wants to can generate any fucking effort that human beings otherwise would be able to do, including if you can generate images and you can generate songs and you can generate stuff like that. You can probably generate a machine. So if you can generate a machine, you can generate a machine that builds machines, and so it goes. Like all of it's right there.
Yeah, but you're forgetting one thing, is that all of these language models that they're using, ChatGPT included, are based off of one language model that was developed by a German organization called Lu something or other. And it was built entirely on scraping the internet for information and completely ignoring copyright laws of every single country in the world. And right now, there are several lawsuits that you probably should know about that are happening that I think are going to knock AI back a bit in terms of what the training data is, what training data they're allowed to use. However, Pandora has already escaped the box.
To be clear, as a consumer of legal services, I do not expect there to be a legal solution.
No, there won't be. It'll be a legal solution in terms of the products that are built on top of that.
Get it back in the using legal mechanisms.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that OpenAI, anyone who's used the same data set to start building their thing, whatever it might be, whether it's ChatGPT or another company, it'll be them that are in danger of being hurt, because there's nothing you can really do about the training data as it was originally collected. But people that are using it, that have built products on top of it, I think are in some danger of being liable. Whether that'll happen, who knows? I mean, fair use can do all kinds of things in terms of that.
None of that's the concern that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the situation where I'm talking about Skynet and
you're talking. Here's the thing:
obsolescing humanity.
Facebook, for example, none of these companies will ever be able to use or create or do anything that will suffice for everything, because the rumor around the campfire is that Facebook's AI product, what they started building a number of years ago, was leaked onto the internet. And that has basically resulted in thousands upon thousands of new projects starting that are building off of that leak, that are dumping millions of man hours into it, of work that no company could ever pay for. And of course, the rumor is that perhaps Facebook might have actually leaked it on purpose, because they recognized that they would never, ever be able to build or train or do as much as they could as a company individually. So if they leaked it onto the internet and sued nobody, then the open source market takes off. You have people who are just interested in the tech, who want to learn about it and build something cool with it. And suddenly you have thousands of companies popping up that do all kinds of different focal things for AI usage that are built on top of Facebook's intellectual property. And Facebook so far has launched nothing legally against anybody. So the thing is, Facebook could now, of course, turn around and say, well, that's our property and you're using it for that thing. But as long as you give it back to us for what, along with the work that you've generated, then we're okay. We're even.
Okay, we're having two very different conversations here, and you've just brought me back into a much closer time frame. In that respect, yeah, I could see that happening for sure. Yeah, no, I mean that would be a tactic that I could very well see them using, and I've seen similar tactics used in the past. I mean, you want people to do as much as they can to float your boat, and and then you want to take as much credit for that as you can, and make sure that the profits end up in your pocket, not theirs, right? And that's so. What do you see though? Okay, for example, say 5 years down the road as being the employment considerations. If all of this tech, as you say, does something sufficiently cool. I mean, what does cool mean in one context? What does it mean in another?
Well, cool means correct information. The problem that these language models and all these systems have right now is that it pumps out some things that are correct and some things that are garbage. Like right now, actually, some of the universities, I understand, at least UVic and SFU and UBC are actually... Well, just hang on.
I have a question.
What they're doing is they're asking students to write their essays using ChatGPT and then correcting the ChatGPT content, because ChatGPT, a lot of these language models are still pumping out information that's fragmented and fictional. So if you ask ChatGPT to do a particular thing, and I've had this happen to me. I've asked ChatGPT to give me code for a certain thing, like I want a function to do this and that sort of thing, and it'll give me stuff that I know is wrong. You just look at it and you're like, what the hell? So I've had long conversations with several nerds, like high-level nerds that work at like AWS and all kinds of stuff, and they're like, the information that pumps out is generally wrong because it's garbage in, garbage out. And the problem that a lot of these things have been trained on are not awesome. They're not efficient. They're not it's that kind of, the next leap that needs to happen is for the actual intelligence part to actually occur, because all of these language models that are being used for the bulk of the products out there are predictors of what comes next. They're not actually intelligent. It says, okay, this is what comes after okay, I've been asked for these tags. Okay,
we agree on all of
the
that.
penis is large and massive and solid and turgid, but that's all it can do. And even with code, however, in my sort of thinking, I think we might actually see the replacement of software developers in, say, maybe 5 years, probably a bit longer. Because the problem is, a lot of employers right now, IBM was in the news just a couple weeks ago that said they have 8,000 openings for software developers that they are putting on hold because they're going to wait and see if they could replace those people with AI, which so far they say they can't, because the AI is too stupid to actually do anything useful.
So back to a real conversation about what all of this is good for. What's the end game here? Like, suppose you got right answers all the time, then what? Like, what do you do about the economy? How do you? Is it a defaultly? Do you need to move to a Marxist system by default because there's no way to employ anyone anymore ever? No, but then it wouldn't be Marxist anymore, because there is no more proletariat. All you've got is the massive unemployed.
Well, you think of it this way. You have... Right? Let's think of Star Trek for a second. One of the things that you always will notice if you're really looking for it in Star Trek is that everyone can write code. Because in the 24th century, being able to write software is simple. I want this to happen to here and this, that, in a very, very similar way. Hi, computer, give me 10% lights, and then it drops to 10%. If you were to write code for that, you would have like whatever language they're using in the future. But the reality is everyone from Captain Picard all the way down to dudes on the first deck can write software to do certain things. So the point is, it's obvious at that point that language models, software models, whatever you want to call them, are commonplace. So what happens then?
So what is anybody illiterate would basically be
exactly.
If we were talking Alita Battle Angel, they'd be the ones sort of running around in the fucking garbage dump, while all of the elites were up in their like Sky Palace. Is sort of how that would work. Is that kind of how it works? Like, because unless somebody elucidates, like how this would work such that it might be marginally fair. I don't think anybody's even broached that, have they?
I don't think they have, because I mean universal basic income is being
but save us from not from ourselves, not from it. From what?
No. Well, I mean, here's the thing. There's AI as we have it right now, which should really be called language model training or something. Excuse me. Because technically it's not really AI, but the thing is that eventually it's going to happen. Like, it will eventually happen. We don't know what it's going to look like at this stage, but we know eventually it's going to happen. The problem we have right now is that we have companies and organizations that are utilizing the software to make decisions that impact real human beings. And the problem is the software is not smart enough to really do that very well. I mean, it does an okay job, but it still requires a human being to watch it, because if you think of insurance, think of like insurance companies that use AI to determine whether somebody is eligible for insurance. A human being normally would sit with somebody and say, hey, okay, here's what I can serve you, blah, 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 blah. But now they're running. I mean, it's like also like people applying for jobs. You have somebody gives you a resume. It runs through some sort of fucking software that does some decision making for the human being, and then you only see certain things. Now, does that would that give you the fully qualified, the people that you actually want to see? Probably not. You probably get a lot of people that are qualified, and then probably a lot of garbage that the machine wasn't able to recognize. So that's the problem I have with a lot of this stuff. I think the technology is cool. I want it to work because I want to write software better than I do now. And I would like to be able to do stuff that I've never learned to do, that if I can say, hey, language model, give me this, because I want to plug into that thing. And I've never learned to do it properly, but I would like to learn how to do it now and have you help me. That would be cool. And I think that's going to hurt the software engineering world, not right away, but definitely in the future. I think a lot of companies that are thinking that AI is going to be able to do the jobs now are deluding themselves. But it will eventually happen. And then we're going to have another problem. We are going to have people that never learn to do the stuff. They learn how to use these systems. What if these systems break? You're going to have a society that, by the way, Alan, have you watched Mandalorian now?
Not the last 2 episodes.
Okay, but you have watched the one with Doc Brown?
Yes.
Okay. So in The Mandalorian, we had that episode with Doc Brown in it where they had their entire society becomes so dependent upon droids that they're like, well, why can't you just turn them off until we figure out which ones have gone bad? And they're like, are you kidding me? The entire society would collapse. But before that, you had the M5 computer from the original Star Trek series. It was basically a society that had become so dependent on a computer to run everything, it eventually breaks, and no one knows how it works. And that's one of the major problems with these language models, is that they're very black box. They have these algorithms that are assigned to do certain things, but some of the decisions that the software makes, they don't know why it made that choice because it's so incredibly complex. and give us 25 years into the future, and we're not going to have people that can write software. Like, I have friends who work at software companies right now that hand over their code to their boss to say, okay, here's the stuff I wrote. And the bosses are saying, well, where did you get this code? And they're like, well, I wrote it. And they're like, you wrote this? You didn't get this? It's like there's this weird assumption that people are already fucking not writing their own code. They're taking it from somewhere else. And I'm really concerned about that. And a lot of developers are too, that are like, what the fuck? What if we all stop doing this, rely on these stupid language models that are really dumb right now, fire a bunch of human beings that are not going to know how to fuck it, that decide, fuck it, I'm out. I leave this industry behind.
Here's the bad news, Shane, is I think that you've described what we've been doing for the last 3 centuries. This has been part of our reality post Gutenberg, because the language that has ultimately limited if not the scope of our communication, the context, because it arrives in dry, dull, parsable form, but without any of the humanity that is imparted when people talk to each other, right? If you consider the gap and the deficit being filled with nothing at all except noise, that's bad enough. But then when you think about human psychology and our tendency to be negative, it explains a lot about what's been going on.
And bias,
in my view,
because that's one of the things too, is that a lot of these language models, because they're trained on certain data, they are biased in one direction or another. They are not neutral. We would like to pretend they're neutral because they're computers, but again, garbage in, garbage out. If we give them training data that has built-in bias or has a lack of some type of knowledge, and employers are already relying on it because they just see saving money as the end game, they're fucked. Eventually, something will go wrong in a way that will end them. So advance that another 100 years, Skynet will take over and we're fucked anyway. So, I mean, here's the thing. Us 3 here are roughly around 50 years of age. Our Skynet fears are not going to happen within the next 50. They're going to happen 200 years down the road. But right now, if you think of it, if we all live to 100 years old, let's all pretend we're going to live to 100, and we require care, we require whatever we need at that age, and we have software making the decisions about whether or not we are given that care, like, fuck that. Fuck that. Where did humanity go? Like, it's ridiculous that we are so incredibly excited about a technology that is dumb as dog shit, that once in a while looks intelligent, but, is not. There's no intelligence there yet. That part doesn't actually exist. We should be calling it something completely different.
Very well put.
In 100 years, I will say yes. Okay, maybe it's intelligent enough to be able to do what a toddler does, but still, there's nuance, there's context, there's all kinds of things that are going to be completely ignored by these systems. And we have companies right now that are ridiculously, they're setting up their own failure. This is the thing. The IBM actually saying that in the news is stupid. I'm sorry, IBM. Are you really that retarded that you're going to sit there and say, hey, we are going to do this and actually save these jobs instead of giving them to the human beings that we can hire tomorrow? We're going to wait until it's intelligent enough. You're going to be waiting for 50 years, man. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? So anyway, I have strong feelings.
Just from a PR perspective, I halle fucking Lulia.
Something is going to go sideways in a way where people actually get hurt in a huge way. Although I would argue that some of the minor AI systems that have been used for a few years now by companies to determine whatever the hell. Well, actually, it's funny. My dad was talking to who is he talking to? The credit card company or insurance company? My dad was talking to somebody on the phone the other day, and my sister started texting me being concerned that he was being offered some sort of thing. And it reminded me about how health providers in the States, I'm going to pick on the US right now. I'm sure this has probably happened in Canada, but where insurance companies and health providers want their clients to wear biometric data tracking systems so that they can check up on you. And they can say, I'm sorry, but you can't have that thing because you didn't walk enough like you were supposed to. Like it's to me, and I'm gonna really make a lot of people grumpy about this, but it's like the woke mentality where people are ultimately wanting other people to police other people without themselves being policed. So it's very kind of weird to me where there's tons of people out there that want to say, well, look what this person did wrong. But then you point at you point at them and say, well, look, here's what you did wrong. And it's like, well, the thing I did wrong was not as bad as the thing you did wrong. Like it's that sort of really tiny version of the entire planet between a very small number of people. And it bugs me that thinking has gone out of thinking is gone. Thinking has been turfed to the
I'm going to say that has not, what you're describing has nothing to do with thinking and has everything to do with money. The insurance companies, exactly. And it just all comes down to the almighty dollar.
Exactly. So back to Star Trek,
humanity has been taken out of the equation entirely.
No. You can no longer call the dollar almighty. I'm sorry, Alan. The inflation's too messy right now, and it's not clear the dollar's going to be setting the stage for that much longer. I think there's another thing triggered by thoughts of dollars. Dollars are just a stand-in, a kind of language of their own. Currency, the history of currency is fascinating, but what we're really talking about is fear. We live in a very uncertain history. Speculations, whether it's dollars or people, I bet there are more than we think, hedging their bets in gold, real estate,
precious metals, et cetera. Well, okay, just take a shot at this, Locke. Why do you think people are so afraid right now? Why do they think times right now are so uncertain? It's a big question. I just want to see what you think about it.
We just went through one of the biggest wrinkles in living memory. So jitteriness, I think, is a very broad condition right now. Take that jitteriness, add some saber rattling, add a misstep that I still find it puzzling to make sense of. The only thing that my only viable theory right now as to why Putin decided to go into Ukraine when he did is that having poisoned the United States with counterintelligence for a decade successfully, U.S. counterintelligence finally clued in and went, okay, we've got one guy running a lot of guys. All we need to sow is a little bit of doubt and make him a little bit more proud than he needs to be. And we've got this guy. Give him rope. I don't know. Those are thoughts, possible explanations as to what's going on. I think
it's also,
there is uncertainty regarding.
I think it's also
we're going through an energy transition is the other thing.
Well, yes.
Whether
I think there's also political polarization, not just like in North America, but like around the world that's happening with. There are forces that want to take us back 30 years.
True.
and then there's those that don't. And
Which ones are those?
Now, Alan,
Just to
from
be
your
clear, which
perspective-
of the back 30 years?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Which are the ones that want to take us back 30 years?
Well, I mean, in just my opinion, like Trump, maybe.
Okay.
Oh, who's the guy? I can't even say his name.
Oh, Polyev.
Polevra. Then there was the Britain leaving the EU. You know, these are just some examples of, you know, Western society.
Right. Okay.
Elements of Western society.
I think I see. I think
yeah, they want
what you're saying is the whole we've all gone retro, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, in a way,
we're living in an 8-bit world now, boys.
I mean, look in the States.
Okay, so
they had that slogan, "Make America Great Again." It's like saying that
because they knew that it sucked.
At one point we were great, then progress happened, and now we're not great. So let's do away with progress and go back to the way it was.
Oh no! What was keeping them from being great wasn't progress. It was the fucking rust.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you think about it. Actually, Alan, answer me this because I'm curious because you know you're a parent and Locke and I don't have children. What is your sort of attitude about, or not your attitude? You're thinking about your kids, right? Because they're now in their you have one in his early 20s, but you also have one that's what is your
Are they
youngest?
the
How old
same
is,
level as you, more or less?
Are they sorry? The what?
Same level of nihilistic as you, or more or less?
They're all their own people.
But are you concerned about them because they're, of course, in theory, they will outlive us all, and but are you concerned about their future, that it's going to get worse or crazier or something?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I understand that there's some apprehension about the future. Things seem like they're not going in the way they should. But I question, haven't people always felt that way?
Well, this is the thing, because I actually found a photograph of your youngest, and I generated this from AI, of course, and this is what your youngest is going to look like, in a number. I mean, I don't know. He strikes me as being a little, unwell somehow. I mean, he looks a bit younger than he would be, but radiation does that for your skin.
You know what? I can't see it in the photo, but I imagine that guy's going to have a boomerang made out of razor blades, and he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, does it not concern you at all that your son a few years from now is going to have I don't know, I guess I want to call him a father figure, I suppose, but the photo that I generated here, of course, I hope you guys can see it. I mean, that might be you, Alan. I mean, I'm just saying that it could be you, caring for your child in the future. I'm just saying that it might be something that we should be concerned about that, or no? Or you think
I imagine that kid is going to have more of a father figure who's like he flies a gyro, and teeth.
We're gonna. Yeah. I can't remember the guy's voice. He was hilarious, but well, I mean, this is the thing, right? Is that there's this juvenoia that generations have about generations beyond them, where we are, that whole thing, oh, come on, you're such a whiner. We walked in the snow to school uphill both ways, that kind of thing. I think that the rabid irradiated dogs have broken into your house, Alan.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, there's just these things that we could that I think that a lot of people are concerned about in terms of, we don't like the younger generations because we think they whine, but we forget that we were the fucking whiners before.
Yeah.
And you know that we might have whined about different things.
No.
We whined about the
never.
same things.
Fucking Gen Xer. We didn't whine. We bitched.
That kid, by the way, looks he's in his 40s now, and he looks just the same, actually, just minus the hair. I was answering the MagViz question of the day. But anyway, I don't know. I think that there's definitely, you put it this way, I think we're all going to be okay. I am not too concerned about the future because I'm not going to be in it. You know, I'll hit 100 years old, you know, in an orgy, and I'll die.
Nature
John
abhors a
Carpenter.
Vacuum.
Nature abhors a vacuum. Yes, this is very
Yes.
true.
The universe will unfold as it should.
So did my mother.
We must have faith, Captain. So, you know, I mean, these are the things that, I mean, actually, it's very true. You know, there's definitely quotes out there that I would love played at any funeral that I might have. Basically, everything that Doctor Who has ever said, AC/DC's Highway to Hell, you know, these kinds of things are going to be important. And, but at the same time, it's not going to matter because us three here, you know, in 100 years, we're going to be dead. Actually, what was
In
it,
100
Sarah
years,
Connor?
who's going to care?
In 100 years, who's going to care?
In 100 years, we'll be
But,
new videos.
Lock. Complete thought. Carpenter is doing another thing. He's doing the thing. I just read this morning. I'm like, Carpenter, A, is still alive, but 2, he's making another thing. Anyway, there you go. Just thought you'd like that.
Ooh,
Cool.
I like that.
And
The
Beetlejuice
details
2
are
is coming
scarce.
out.
Yeah, that's true. Beetlejuice is apparently production is on hold because of the writer's strike, but it is eventually going to start again. But sorry, I had to tell you that, Locke. I got really excited all of a sudden.
Anyway,
I'm excited about
but
Beetlejuice.
yeah,
I need to ask Keaton's involvement.
in Beetlejuice, of course, he's Beetlejuice.
Okay,
There is no other actor for Beetlejuice. Oh yeah, no,
Gina Davis?
Burton is doing it. Yeah, Burton is doing it.
Burton?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know about the other cast. I know that he's in it.
Okay. I'm backing away. It's cool.
And, and I gather Winona Ryder will also be in it as well.
she is.
So
Okay, all right. Yeah. I'm fucking. I am now on board. Good.
And
Thank
Jenna
you.
Ortiz is going to play her daughter.
Okay.
oh, is that the girl that played Wednesday?
Yes.
The actress? Oh,
How
okay.
do you
Yeah, I
make
can see
you-
that, totally.
yeah,
I can totally see that.
And Catherine O'Hara is in it.
Catherine O'Hara's going to be in it? Oh,
Yes.
sweet. I
Fucking A.
only knew about the first.
I'm a little bit disappointed that Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis aren't going to be in it. But
Oh, that's too bad. Well, Baldwin, I mean, here's the thing. Gina Davis and Baldwin, those characters are... How did they end off? How did they end off?
they
the
were
original
still
film?
living in the house. Like they were coexisting in the house with the corporeal residents. The daughter could see them, and he did the aerial dance thing at the end, and
Right. I suspect Baldwin might not do it because, I don't know, he shot somebody in the face and killed somebody else. So I think he's a little busy dealing with that these days.
well, I think there's also the bigger point is that their characters died when they were, like in their 20s or 30s.
That's a good point.
But now the actors have aged, and
Yeah, that's a good point.
They wouldn't be able to make them look the same. So
But I want to know
It's a
two
fair
very
point.
important questions, though. the bodiless legs must be in the show, and the guy with the shrunken head also has to be in the show. To me, that's the rules.
Yeah.
And Winona Ryder could be naked.
Probably not.
Probably not. On that note, I'm out of beer.
Yes.
And we've been.
She could do some, whoa. She could do some shoplifting.
Oh, that act! I would love to see that actually worked into the script. The mother, the child becomes a shoplifter and is like in jail. But anyway, we've been streaming for like an hour and a bit. That leaves that I'm out of beer. Are you guys out of beer?
Yeah, I'm out.
I'm out of beer.
So.
All right, so Locke is definitely not out. But anyway, we'll see you next Friday night at 7:00 Western Pacific time. That's what I'm trying to say. Over there, and hopefully our compatriot Dave will return to the fold. Oh. Anyway, we'll see you all guys next week. Thank you all for watching. We will, of course, next week on Friday, it is the We'll All Be Nude. So look forward to that. Locke's expression sells that entirely. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you all next time. Yay!